Chris here. It is Saturday morning. Actually, it's kind of mid-morning. And it's a little breezy today, so let's go take a peek. It's not bad. It's blowing about 20 knots. And it's blowing from there. You can see the land there. It's real close. So there's not a lot of waves. It's actually pretty calm. But we tend not to want to go to shore when it's blowing 20 knots or more for a couple of reasons. One, the dinghy has limited strength. And probably the bigger one is it ends up being a really, really wet ride home as you smash into all those waves. And then if you happen to be at anchor, 20 knots is kind of when you risk dragging through the sand and finding your boat is not where you left it. So we like to stay on the boat. We're on a mooring, so we're not going to drift or drag, but still, the habit is an important one. So I'm looking for things to do on the boat today, and I'm looking at this gigantic mess. So all of this gigantic mess is because of those two boxes. The white box holds a 3,000 watt inverter, and then the blue and orange box has an upgraded charge controller. And then some of this stuff over here, the stuff that's going to use that inverter in hopes of replacing our propane galley with an electric one that uses the solar. So I think the plan is we're going to take all of this stuff out and we are going to open that whole section up, and then we are going to take these two pieces of wood that I have painted and cut to size, hopefully correct size. I didn't check the size before I painted them. And then we're going to use this marine sealant, and we are going to glue them to the fiberglass essentially. And then once they're there, it takes about 24 hours to harden all the way. And then we'll be able to mount those pieces of equipment, the inverter and the charge controller, to the wood, and then wire it all in. Monday and Tuesday are going to be super duper calm. So I'd like to do some of the work today so that Monday and Tuesday we'll have those calm days to do the wiring piece, which means I need to get in there and start moving stuff around. All right, there's step one. I realized I am right behind the TV, so I think I'm going to work on the TV also. It is rare, but occasionally we do end up in marinas, and I realized that we only have the TV antenna plugged into this, and I would like to have a switch to be able to switch from the antenna to cable TV, so we need to do that. The mount I got makes that impossible, so we're gonna have to take the TV off the mount, unscrew the antenna, and screw this in. So, just a little short project. A side quest, if you will. So, got that, got this, we're gonna get it done. All right, so, back onto the main quest. We are sizing these out to make sure they fit. Should I clean this out better? Yes. Will I clean it out later? Eventually. That's not mold, that is oil stain from an accident a few years ago. And this one fits as well. So, normally you'd use clamps to do this, but obviously we don't have clamps that will work for these placements. So in that case, you'd like stack heavy weights and like press it up for like about an hour. And then after about an hour, it should be tacky enough that it stays on its own and cures over 24 hours. I got to thinking, like, what's a good weight that I could stick in here and like just leave for an hour? And I thought, well, we have the 10-pound dumbbells. We've got a big pile of books. And then I thought, I'm the biggest weight we have on this boat. So I'm just gonna sit there and lean against it for about an hour. I got a phone to entertain me. So next step is get a knife, and well, this should have a cutter in there somewhere. There it is. So I guess it gets scary with 5200. The thing with 5200 is 5200 is the forever adhesive. This stuff comes off when it's time to come off. You grind it off. So you really want to make sure, you know, you check everything twice. And yeah, so I'm just gonna squirt it on, lean up against it, and see how we do. All right, that's a lot of 5200, but This is a big heavy piece of equipment that's going in there that I don't want to move around. Are there better and smarter ways of doing this? Yes. So why am I doing it this way? A few reasons. Now that I'm in here and I'm leaning against it, holding it steady, what are the other options for mounting this stuff on here? Well, one is to drill right through the fiberglass. And I mean, it's strong until you yank it the wrong way and then you crack the fiberglass. This is just a seat, so I mean, it's not a terribly big deal. There have been times, we have another cabinet where I drilled through the fiberglass, but the equipment was real tiny, and I just put a bolt on, and yeah, you know, like a 2-ounce thing is not gonna jerk the fiberglass wrenched. The other thing you can do is you put a backing board like this and you just do nothing to it. What was done over here, but as you can see, I mean, we're lucky that didn't rot. And then the other option is right behind me. Let's see if I can move. All right, so this one is structural. So they fiberglassed around the wood to make it super strong. And so you could use fiberglass to stick the wood on and then drill into that. That one, that's structural. But I could fiberglass these in and they would be super duper strong. And that's probably the way I should have done it. But fiberglass stuff is very, very bad to breathe. And it's, you know, a summer, wintry day, and there's not a lot of ventilation at the moment. So I wanted to go something that should be ventilated, but it's definitely not fiberglass resin. We have a tiny bit of 5200. I used the entire thing for that. So we've used probably 8 ounces of 5200 on this thing. But I wonder if I couldn't get along the top and let some of it drip down there. So I'm just gonna play at this point with the last 2 ounces of 5200 and hope I don't get too much on myself. All right, so the boards are on. The 5200 is still tacky, so I don't want, like, it could still come off, but I'm pretty sure it's good. So we're gonna let it sit and get some air for an hour or two. After like an hour or two, I will go give it a little test to make sure it's not gonna separate, and then I'll put everything on there and we'll let it sit there for, it should fully cure in 24 hours if it were well ventilated. Since it's not gonna be well ventilated, we're gonna give it like 48 hours. And the wires that we need should arrive on Monday, because we got most of them. And then Monday we'll probably mount the equipment on there, and then Tuesday we'll do the wiring. So we've got all kinds of good stuff to put on there. All right, so I'm getting ready to close this up. We've been having some air flow through, but it's not bad. And oh, I should point out that all that black stuff down there, that is not mold. That is actually oil stains from a very, very, very bad week about 3 years ago that involved us dropping all the oil out of our engine twice. It was, ooh, there goes the clock. There you go. Anyway, so we ended up having a problem where we were not holding oil. We were dropping all of our oil over the course of 24 hours, and we were pretty far offshore. So luckily we did not need the engine except to get into where we were going. And yeah, it was nerve-wracking. But yeah, so we had 8 quarts of oil sloshing around our bilge, and we had to like get it out, and then we had to clean it up as best we could. And since there was a water tank over top this, and that this was all under the water tank, that was the best I could do with the water tank sitting on top of it. So the stain has pretty much really stuck in there. So eventually I'll paint all of that. But having some of those oil stains really serves as a reminder of, one, always make sure your engine is okay, and two, I really want to take the diesel engine out and put an electric engine in. And yeah, so getting more electrical stuff in the boat so that we are one step closer to not using any fossil fuels at all is definitely helpful. So I'm hopeful that this will let us get rid of the propane. Anyway, one project done. We've got a few more to do today, and I hope everyone's having a good day, and I will chat with you later. Bye.